Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 biggest luxury shopping mistakes that I have made that I hope you avoid and you can avoid. So these 5 mistakes, I really hope you can avoid them because they will save you the decluttering that I had to do, the money that I wasted, and the complete lack of style identity that I felt within myself. Number 1 is probably going to come as a little bit of a shock to you, especially if you have seen my past 2 decluttering videos and you've kind of seen this new path that I've been on and I'm taking. And this whole point actually inspired this video, and it only really came about yesterday. And I was like, you know what? Screw it! We're gonna talk about it! And this may come as a shock to you, but I want to tell you that if you are not wearing the item, you don't necessarily need to sell it. Now, before you click out of the video, let me explain, and hopefully this will make sense to you. You may have seen it. I've done a complete 180. I've done a complete 180 within the last, 6 months, maybe to a year. And that's just naturally my personality type. Like I'm all in. I'm an all-in type of person to the point where it can sometimes lead me to, hello mental illness. I'm the type of person that will throw the baby out with the baby water. Like I'm that type of person. And I'm learning to have a little bit more of a healthy balance. I did a full 180 and I feel like now I'm kind of like, slightly angling myself about 90 degrees to not a bit more of a healthy balance. And what I have come to realize is I will probably never be a luxury minimalist in the traditional sense of the word. I love things. I love shopping. And what I've realized that's just been really eating away at my soul is this whole selling BS. That is just utterly soul destroying. Take a seat, okay? Let's talk about it. Please share with me your experiences. Share with me your experiences to make me feel less alone. If you're not using or wearing something, you don't need to necessarily sell it. If you aren't in financial trouble, you don't need the money, and you don't necessarily have space or storage issues, why do you need to sell it? Especially if it's causing you as much grief as some of this is. Now, this could be my own issues. 100%, like I'm acknowledging this. I have issues. Probably more than Vogue. And I'm not like I love people. Flynn's taught me a lot about patience. I don't have a lot of patience and I get annoyed very easily. It amazes me that I was able to successfully complete customer service jobs throughout my life without yelling at someone. I don't know. Am I a people person? I don't think so. I like to think I am sometimes, but in like short doses. And I think you have to be a patient people person to be able to successfully come out alive of a selling venture. Now, I think for me, the biggest reason why I thought I needed to sell all these things that I wasn't wearing, and by the way, I am still selling things. I will still be listing certain items, but I don't think I'm going to be selling as much as I originally wanted to declutter. And that's not because I would love to sell it if possible, but I think for the prices and for the time and the it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I will still be listing things. Keep an eye on my Instagram stories and my Vestia and my Depop. I will still be listing things, but I've decided that there are certain things in my wardrobe that I'm not wearing, and they will make sense to you why when I get to the later points in today's video. But I'm not wearing them. However, I'm not in financial trouble that I need to sell them. I have the storage space to keep them, so I am going to hang on to them. Purely to keep my mental state and my soul intact, I'm going to hold on to them. Now, by all means, if you see anything in my videos that you have a genuine interest in, please do not hesitate to reach out to me via email, Instagram if you want, but email probably be more preferred, and send me a price offer. Offer me a price. If you love something so much and you really want it, feel free to email me with a price offer. But what I realized is I would rather hold on to things, and I would rather just keep them in storage or keep them as decorative pieces in my house as opposed to selling them for such little money. That may make sense to you, that may not, but I'm going to share with you 2 examples, and I'm not trying to at all shit on anyone. Like, this isn't me shitting on anyone. This is no disrespect whatsoever. I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to share with you 2 examples. My Louis Vuitton luggage case. That cost me over $4,000. I bought that for over $4,000. I have not yet got a single price offer above $1,000 for that. And I get it, like the resale market, like, I mean, I guess you could be like, yeah, what do you expect? Like it's not an easy gig, okay? The resale market's not an easy gig unless you're selling Chanel's or Hermes bag. I'd rather just hold on to it and look at it from time to time because it looks pretty. I'm not desperate for the money and I have the storage space. I don't know what it is about the selling game. I don't know if it's because people, Flenny's snoring. I don't know if it's because people aren't really aware how much things go for, or if they are just trying to get a bargain, or if they think that like I'm desperate for the money. I don't know what it is. Like, share with me your theories in the comments down below. But the nail in the coffin for me, and again, no disrespect, this woman is a lovely woman. I'm not going to mention her name. I'm just sharing this with you to add, you know, to add layers to the reason why I believe that you don't always have to sell. This Louis Vuitton scarf, I don't hate it, but I don't wear it. I haven't worn it for a very long time. This retails for about $1,300 Australian. It is pure cashmere. It is the most softest, luxurious feeling scarf. And not to mention, it is in pristine condition, okay? This has hardly been worn. It basically looks like fresh out of the store. Like, no marks, no impurities, no imperfections, nothing. A $1,300 scarf that was purchased, I was offered $150 for it. Can we just let that sink in? And again, you may be a very patient, understanding person, but like maybe I'm just an absolute asshole because I was like, no. I was polite about it, obviously. I'm not an asshole. I mean, in my head sometimes I am, but like not outwardly. I try not to be. And I was like, nah, look, no, that's too low. And then she came back and offered me, I think it was $225. And I was like, $225 for a $1,300 scarf that's in pristine condition? Like, I'm not expecting $1,300, not at all. But like, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more than that. And just another example, Gucci, my Gucci sneakers that I don't wear either. I was looking around on the resale market. They're pretty much selling for like $300. I'm not desperate for the $300. And again, there's a part of me that I'm like, I bought those in Milan. Maybe one day I might want to wear them again. And they do look pretty in my wardrobe. And I think there's certain things that it's like, if you're not desperate for the money, to let go of items for such little money, sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's not worth it. Like, you have to weigh up where you at. Do you have the time? Because you have to spend a lot of time interacting with people, sending them photos, answering their questions, listing items, changing prices of listings, you know, going to the post office, sending things on, dealing with people's customer feedback. It's a lot of time. If you are a time poor person or you simply can't be bothered, maybe your time could be spent better elsewhere. To wrap up this point, I'll say it again, if you are not in financial trouble or you don't desperately need the money, or if you are not short on space or storage, you don't need to sell the items. If you aren't getting the price offers you want, or no one's accepting the prices that you're listing them for, sometimes it's just not worth it. And again, I don't mean to shit on anyone. I understand that everyone's just out here trying to look for the best deal and the best price. There's some things I was looking at selling that would sell for such little money that I would rather give it to a family member. I'd rather give it to my little niece and like see her face light up. Like, to me, that would be priceless. That is worth more than any pre-loved money that I would get for these items, which isn't a lot in my mind. I would rather see that pure joy on my niece's face or a loved one's face or my friend's face than, you know, $150. Like, you know what I mean? Like, am I making sense? I hope so. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, but that is my biggest point. I think the reason I wanted to sell these items is because I didn't like looking at things in my wardrobe that I wasn't using and I wasn't wearing. But I think I now have to come to accept the fact that some of these pieces are just going to look really beautiful in my wardrobe. They may not be used. I may not be one of those super practical people that have gotten every purchase perfect, that has a wardrobe that is 110% used. I think I have to accept that, because I'd rather do that. What's the alternative? Sell a lot of my stuff for like way below what I'm willing to sell them for? No, I'd rather just hold on to them. Okay, number 2. This for me was like a light bulb moment. This was a light bulb moment. And when I look back at the purchases I've made that were mistakes or that I don't really use, it comes down to this very point. And that point is choose your weakness. Now, let me explain. My weakness was and still is handbags. That is my strong point. That is what I love the most. Some people love shoes more than handbags. I have friends that prefer luxury designer shoes over designer handbags. Ready to wear, hats, you know, sweaters, whatever. Choose your weakness and continue to kind of, I suppose my advice would be keep your main priority as that weakness, if you will. My thing was always handbags. My luxury weakness was always handbags. That's where I spent majority of my money. And then, you know, there was a point where I never wanted to buy designer shoes. I didn't want designer shoes because one, I was too scared to ruin them. I thought, you know, I'm going to spend that much money to just walk around and dirty and like touch the ground, God forbid. And I kind of got this idea in my head that's like, no, like you're not going to be stylish enough, or like you're not a real designer lover unless you start investing in shoes. And I invested in one pair, and then it was just like a snowball effect where it was just like pair of shoe upon pair of shoe upon pair of shoe upon pair of shoe upon pair of shoes. And it just got out of control. And I looked at my collection because at the time, a lot of my handbags I was buying was like very noticeable designer, very noticeable logoed items. And of course, I was doing that with my handbags. And at the time, it didn't really click. I was doing it with my shoes as well. So I had nothing but, you know, heavily labeled and heavily branded handbags and very noticeable, heavily branded shoes. When you have like 80 or 90% of your wardrobe that is logos or branding on both your shoes and your bags, it's very hard to style if your style changes away from that very branded look. And that's probably one of my biggest mistakes, which is why going back a few hauls ago, I have it linked, I talked about how I love the Orion sandal so much and I bought a pair in black. They're a designer sandal, they're a designer shoe, but they're not heavily branded. They're simple. And I just want to go back to that simplicity that I used to have in my shoes. I didn't used to wear super loud branded, you know, I didn't used to have designer names on my shoes. And then as soon as I tried to put them on my shoes as well, I just kind of turned into a little bit of like a label whore, if you will, in my personal humble opinion. And my outfits became increasingly hard to style in a more subtle way. I would have this outfit, I'd have, you know, I'd try to not wear ready to wear that was super, like even then I kind of went a bit out of control with the ready to wear, but we'll talk about that later. I tried to keep my outfit really subtle, and I'd have maybe like a Louis Vuitton monogram bag or a Chanel handbag. And then when it came down to the shoes, I'd be like, well, what am I doing? Because I love my Louis Vuitton Birkenstock looking shoes, but they're covered in monogram, and I'm not the type of person that's going to put monogram on my bag and monogram on my shoes anymore. Or, you know, I'd have Chanel on my shoes, and I'm like, again, I'm not the type of person that wants Chanel on my shoes and then monogram on my bag. Like, it's just a bit much for me now. And I just found myself in this place where I was like, oh my God, like nothing works, because all I have is heavily branded shoes and heavily branded bags, and come together, it's just a bit much for me now at this age. So please be aware of that, because it's definitely a hole that you can fall down very, very quickly. And I'm not all saying if your weakness is bags, you can't indulge in designer shoes. Just be aware of not making like all your designer purchases heavily branded shoes and then like heavily branded bags, and then like the clashing of it all. It can be a lot if your style resonates with mine. You might find it a little bit overwhelming. 3, following on from that, I feel like I kind of touched on that a little bit just before, but overbuying of logos. Again, it was the same problem, and I've spoken about this before. I loved logos back then, and I think some of you kind of had this idea that I'm off logos now because logos aren't trendy anymore. No, that's not it. What I've come to realize is I was buying logos at a young age for the wrong reasons. I was buying logos as a status symbol to feed my ego, to feed a low self-esteem and a low self-confidence within myself, and to flex and to outwardly show the world my value. Like, look at me, I'm a valuable human being because I'm like, look at me, I've got a logo on, I'm valuable. I didn't realize at the time, but looking back on it, that's what it was for me. And that may not be what logos is for you. You may just genuinely love a logo for a completely different reason. But when I really got to the deep root of the issue, it was a low self-esteem. It was a low confidence level within myself. I also I don't feel the need to flex and flash in that way anymore. And overbuying of logos was something I definitely did. For instance, this scarf logoed up, you know, this bag logoed up. Like, it got to the point where, like, how many logos can you have? And I'm not saying that you can't ever buy a logo again, because I'm sure I'll still at some point find myself buying a logo. That new YSL bag I love, it has YSL on it. It's got a logo on it. But my thing is now, like, if I'm going to keep this scarf, because I'm not trying to sell it for like less than, you know, $600 or $700, my thing now is I need to find how to style this, because this logo is going to be my focal point. I don't want any other logo on me if I'm going to choose to wear this again, because for me now, I'm super hypersensitive and hyper aware of how many logos I have on my body. And I think it's because I overdid it at a young age, and I overdid it for an unhealthy reason, and I overdid it for the wrong reasons. And that sits with me and that stays with me, and I'm just kind of repulsed by it now. Number 4, over shopping with one brand. Now, you know that there was a really hot moment there where I was obsessed with Dior. I was obsessed. I also didn't realize how obsessed I was with Louis Vuitton monogram, because looking at my collection, I have a shit ton of Louis Vuitton monogram, and it's gotten to the point for me now where I'm kind of put off by it. And I hate that I'm here. I didn't want to be here, but I did it to myself because I overshopped with a brand. I still like Dior, but I'm not as obsessed with Dior anymore. I'm kind of like taking a break from Dior because I overdid it with them. I went too hard, too fast. And that's probably another one of my biggest mistakes. Like, you know, that whole childlike excitement that you get when you start shopping with a brand, a new brand, it can very quickly dull, and it can turn into resentment if you've just completely gone apeshit, batshit crazy on the brand. Like, sometimes it can happen. Sometimes it can't. Sometimes it can. And if you're someone like me, you know, I'm a creature of habit. If I find something I like, I'm obviously gonna like absolutely overly indulge in it. Like, look at me when I find a new recipe I like. I basically eat it every day. Like, there was a good moment there where I was really obsessed with potatoes. I basically turned into a potato. I was eating them every day. And if you are that type of personality, you can probably find yourself in the exact same position I did, just overbuying with a brand to the point where you can't even look at Louis Vuitton monogram anymore, or you're so sick of Dior. As much as you loved them and you still want to love them, you almost need to re-nurture that love back by just like completely taking a giant ass leap back. I was about to say a step back, but like a giant ass leap back. And I think if you're like me and you're such a creature of habit, overbuying and over shopping with one brand or with your favorite brands can be so easy, and it can lead you down a path of almost losing your own individual style and becoming a mannequin and a clothing rack for any one brand. Like, I hope it's not happening now with Victorian Woods, because literally all I wear is Victorian Woods, but I fucking love them. But I'm almost hoping it doesn't happen, because I feel like their stuff's not even monogrammed or not logoed or doesn't have any branding on it. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but I'll keep you updated. This is my theory. I'm like, if it's a brand that I love that's like just simple basic clothing, hopefully we'll be fine. I'll keep you updated. Number 5, now I'm going to touch on ready to wear. If you're someone who spent a little bit on handbags, spent a little bit on shoes, now you're looking at ready to wear like, hello. The reason I initially got into ready to wear, I was so drawn, and I didn't really realize the consequence of this. I think the main reason I was drawn to ready to wear was actually ironically an unintentional consequence and a downfall of my personal style. So the reason I was originally drawn to ready to wear was because I loved the uniqueness of the pieces. Yes, of course, I love the quality, but I was more drawn to the uniqueness. And if you look on a lot of, you know, ready to wear e-commerce stores, or if you just look in designer stores in general, ready to wear designer clothes, like 8 or 9 times out of 10, just has different design elements about it that's just, it's different to a lot of fast fashion. There's intricate details that you're paying for within the ready to wear piece that just make it look different. It adds to the look, it adds to the item that you don't necessarily get when you shop with a lot of fast fashion. And I was so drawn to that, and I kind of went through this phase where I was like, you know what, I'm no longer gonna buy simple clothing. I want something different. I want to look different to everyone else. I want to have something different on my piece of clothing, a different, unique design element that sets me apart from the rest, from the crowd, if you will, from the masses. And I fell down this rabbit hole unintentionally, realizing the consequences that it would have on my own personal style. So off I went on my little ready-to-wear journey, you know, snapping up logos left, right, and center, my Gucci tee, okay, my Chanel sweaters left, right, and center, my intricately, weirdly detailed, cool, funky tops. Obviously, you know, of course, I also spent money on classic pieces, but a lot of my wardrobe had these real interesting, different design pieces and design elements. I looked at my wardrobe one day and I realized that I had very little basic staples. Love this top, by the way. Basic staples in my wardrobe. And that can cause a bit of a confusion of your personal style. And you think there's something wrong with you. You think you can't style. You think that you don't look good. You think that you're like not a fashionable person because you're trying to put all these outfits on, but all you've got is, you know, uniqueness in every part of your aspect of your clothing. You know, your shoes, maybe they're bedazzled Gucci. Your pants have a cool design feature on it. Your shirt's got a loud print on it or got some flair or funk to it. And you get to the point where you're like, oh my God, like it's a lot. It's a lot of different design elements. And, you know, maybe if you live in a fashionable city, a fashion forward city, or you work in fashion and you're more into the maximalism trend, you dress more maximalist. Is that a word? I don't know. But if you're like me and you live in the burbs, or, you know, even if you don't live in the burbs, maybe you live in a big city, but you're not that's not your style. You feel like it looks a bit mixed matched, a bit much. It could be because you're falling down that same friggin' hole that I did, and you don't have the simple fillers for your outfit. You know, your whole outfit, in my humble opinion, cannot be like bam, 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 bam. Like, yes, it's great to have one focal staple piece with maybe one unique design element, but every piece of clothing you wear doesn't have to be, you know, the central focus, and like it doesn't have to have, every piece doesn't have to have a unique design element, because then you just, it's kind of like, where do I look? I don't know. Like, you need fillers, and you need fillers for your wardrobe that then showcase that really great element of your outfit that's different. Because if you have too much going on in your outfit that's different, people don't know where to look. You feel a bit all over the shop. You feel a bit confused. Whereas if you have like one really great design element on your outfit and the rest is like, you know, simple, nice, easy, basic, nothing wrong with basic, it really does showcase that portion of your outfit so much more. That's what I fell into. I fell into the trap of just overbuying different pieces, unique, ready-to-wear pieces, that I had no items to style them with that showed them off in the right way. Does that make sense? I would love to hear what you think of these 5 mistakes that I've shared with you, and if there's anything you learned from today's video. And please, if you feel like you've learned anything from shopping, give me some tips. I feel like we could all do with shopping tips. Please share with us all your tips and all your mistakes when it comes to shopping. I would love to hear what you think of today's video. If you have anything else to add, I can't wait to hear from you in the comments down below. I'm gonna have another one linked for you right here. If you haven't had enough of me just yet, feel free to join me over there. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Flenny honey, Mummy's gonna have to cut out so many of the bits where I'm clapping at you to wake you up, okay? Because the snoring's a bit out of control, Flenny. The snoring is out of control. Mummy pick you up. Actually, you know what? Your friends haven't seen you in a while. Want to come have a say hello to your friends? Come say hello to your friends. Oh my God, Flinny, you're gonna break my back. Now, do you want to tell them what's been going on in your life? Flinny, do you want to tell your friends what's been going on? Say, guys, I'm on a diet, but now I weigh more than I did before. Yeah, you did. You bulking for the summer, darling. Say, hey guys, I now weigh 14 kilos. Do, don't you? But Mummy do think you're beautiful. You know, I don't even really know what to vet on about, Flinny. I think you've got muscular definition, Flinny. Your little booty has to walk up those stairs every day. I think it's muscle. And I don't even physically know how you can lose any weight, darling. I don't know where it's supposed to come off of. You're a handsome boy. Do you want to say hey to your friends? So guys, do you think I'm a little bit chunky? Tell them, Flinny. Say, the vet says I'm fat. And they caught me on a diet and I just keep gaining more weight. And you know what annoys me about that, Flinny, is I don't even think it's fat. I think it's muscle. We need a scale with a breakdown because I think it's muscle, honey. Have you seen your leg definition? Look at his leg definition. Let me show you. Look at his leg definition. It's a really nice leg. And look at this big beefy chest. That's not fat. That's muscle, darling. You're just muscular. Yeah, you look at a bodybuilder. A Frenchy bodybuilder. Yeah. I'm sick of the vet fat shaming you, Flinny. I'm done sick of it, darling. I think you're perfect. You're perfect, Flinny. I don't know, is Mummy supposed to starve you? I don't know, I can't imagine you getting any skinnier. You're just a chunky monkey. Even when Mummy picked you out of the litter, you were the chubby one, darling. You were the one out of all your brothers and sisters who just kept going back to the food bowl for seconds, thirds and fourths. You were an eater. You've always been an eater, haven't you? It's not your fault you're a foodie. Those are my favourite types of people, Flinny. Not your fault, is it? Little chunky monkey.